This is a video review of a Giant Rain Zero. The model that I'll be going over is a 2012. It's a bike that I've owned for a couple months now, and for the past 2 years I've exclusively been riding 29ers. And so this is kind of a new thing for me, getting back on a 26er. I did it because I had a Giant Anthem X 29er and a Niner Rip 9. I sold both of those to get a Niner Jet 9 RDO. And a few months after that, I came across this Rain Zero at a really good price. And I've always been curious what it'd be like to own a 6-inch travel bike for riding in the mountains. And so I'm going to go over some of the specs, some of the features of the bike, and then wrap it up with my thoughts on the bike and how it rides. Alright, here's the bike, and it's a little dirty right now because I've been riding in the mountains. But I'll start by going over the XT components. It's got a 2x10 drivetrain, full XT for the bike, cassette, rear derailleur, front derailleur brakes. The cassette has a 36 tooth for the largest cog in the back, which I find is plenty. Yeah, I've been going over some pretty steep stuff up here in North Georgia where I've been riding, and I have not needed a lower gear than a 36 in the back. It's got an XT rear derailleur, long cage. It's got a direct mount front derailleur. I'm really liking the XT brakes. I'm not going to go too heavy into the features of the components, but one thing I really like about the brakes is the fact that you don't need an Allen wrench to adjust the lever reach. You can just turn this knob. Also, there's very little play in the lever. In other words, when you push the lever in, it grabs pretty quick, which I like. And these brakes have really good modulation and really good power. Comes with a 180 front rotor, and the rear has a 160. This bike comes with a height adjustable seat post. It's the second bike I've owned that has one of these, and I'm really liking it. It's been a while since I've ridden one, and it took me a while to get used to, because when you corner with the bike with the saddle lower, your center of gravity is really low, and you actually can go into a corner a little bit faster than what you're used to. But once I got used to it, I was using it all the time. It's got 100 millimeters of adjustment, and the thing that I really like about the seat post is that it doesn't have notches in here where you only get 2, 3, or 4 settings of the seat post. It's infinite adjustability, anywhere from all the way down to all the way up. Really, all you do is you push this lever in here, weight the seat post, put it down, let it go, and it's set. When you want to pop it back up, push the lever. And so far, it's worked really well. It did get a little bit sticky on me after a ride in a little bit of mud. I dripped some lube down inside the cable housing and also up here, and after that the lever started working fine. So obviously it's something that I need to lube from time to time. Can't give a long-term report on it, but so far I really like it. This bike comes with Maxxis tires. It's got the Minion DH in the front and the High Roller in the back. Over the past 1.5 to 2 years, I've exclusively been riding on Maxxis tires. I've been running the Aspens and Ardents on my 29ers. Really like the Maxxis. They convert easily to tubeless. The sidewalls, not had a problem with them. And so I'm really happy that this bike came with Maxxis tires. The ones on this bike, they roll well, they corner well, everything a tire is really supposed to do. I've not noticed any negative characteristics of the tires. I've kept the bike stock except for the grips. I did change those out to hours just because I'm used to them. And I put some XT pedals on because the bike does not come with pedals. Overall, Giant did, in my opinion, a phenomenal job speccing this bike. I've built a lot of bikes up from scratch, and if I was going to build a trail bike, there is not much I would do differently than the components that came on this bike. One thing I really like about this bike is the fact that it's pretty up to date in terms of the technology that's out there right now in mountain biking. It's got Again, the height adjustable seat post, direct mount front derailleur, press fit bottom bracket, tapered 1.5 head tube, 15 QR on the fork. The only thing that's not the latest and greatest is it does not have the 142mm spacing on the rear axle, and also does not have the Kashima coating on the rear shock or on the fork. This bike uses Giant's Maestro suspension. I've ridden quite a few suspension designs over the years, including Specialized Brain Technology, DW Link, and the Maestro is my favorite so far. The Maestro is really plush. I actually like a bike that's more on the plush side, and when you're going downhill and not pedaling, the bike really follows the terrain well. It absorbs G-outs, roots, and rocks. And when you're climbing on this bike, the rear end really stays firm. When you're pedaling and pushing hard, if you keep a smooth pedal stroke, there is little to no pedal bob in the suspension. This bike uses the newer RP23, the Adaptive Logic. And if you're not familiar with this, the way this works is the left side is where you set your Pro Pedal settings, 0, 1, or 2. On the right side is Pro Pedal 3. It's backwards from the old RP23s, where on the right side you set your pedal settings and then the left side was fully open. This is a little bit more intuitive because you can set your Pro Pedal on the left for descending or just all around riding, and then when you hit a climb you just pop it over there to number 3 on the right side and you're ready to go on the climbs. Now, I mentioned before that this bike does not come with a Kashima coating. However, with the bike with this much travel, I don't feel like it's necessary. This bike is really small bump sensitive, and by not having the Kashima coating, I don't think you're really missing anything on this bike. And it comes with the Fox Talus, which I think is really a good feature for an all-mountain bike, because it's almost a necessity to dial the fork down to 120 when you're on a climb to keep the front end from wandering. And then you just turn it back to 150 when you need it for descents. Another thing that I really like about this bike is that you can make a few quick adjustments and it changes the personality of the bike. So when I'm climbing, I keep it over here on number 3 Pro Pedal, keep the fork at 120, the saddle fully extended. When you get to the top of a climb, in about 3 seconds you can drop the seat, switch the shock over to the left Pro Pedal, and extend the fork fully to 150. And it goes from a really good climber to a really fun descending bike. I'll finish up the component specs by going over the stem and handlebars. The stem, I believe, is a 75mm stem, which is a really good length for an all-mountain bike. It doesn't put you over the front wheel too much, which is important when you're descending. The bar is 690mm wide, which to me is a really good width. It's wider than my cross-country bike, but it's not a super wide bar. So it's a really good width for me. So that's it for the components and overview of the bike. Let me wrap it up by talking about some of the ride characteristics. First of all, in the geometry is a little more laid back than a traditional cross-country bike. And that's because this bike is really designed to get you to the top of the mountain so that you can come downhill. And when you're coming downhill, you don't want to feel like you're too far forward over the bike. So when you extend the fork to 150, the geometry settles into a really nice descending geometry. And coming down the mountain on this bike is an absolute blast. Like I mentioned before, this is the first 6-inch travel bike that I've owned, and it's really fun to carry a lot of speed over rough terrain and still feel like you're remaining in control. I found myself going through rock gardens feeling like I probably could have gone through them a little bit faster. I weighed this bike at 28.9 pounds with the XT pedals, and I was honestly a little apprehensive about the weight since I've been used to cross-country bikes. And when I got up here in the mountains, when I got on the long steady climbs, I was honestly surprised at how well this bike went uphill. The bike weight really just was not a factor. keeping the fork at 120 keeps the front end down, allows a lot of maneuverability going around rocks or roots or over them, and so the bike really is a phenomenal climber. I had been riding this bike in Florida just to get used to the bike before I came up to the mountains, and it felt obviously a little more sluggish than my cross-country bike. Two reasons is, we have just the punchy climbs in Florida, and so you're not able to just get out of the saddle and hammer up a climb like you would on a cross-country bike. And also the tires obviously have a lot more meat on them than something like a Maxxis Aspen, designed more for fast cross-country use. But again, once I got on the climbs up here in the mountains, the bike just climbs really, really well. The nice thing about longer travel 26ers is that you're able to add quite a bit of travel without having the bike feel too high, especially if you're under 6 feet. I'm 5'8", so having a 6-inch travel 26er allows me to have a plush bike for rough terrain without putting my center of gravity too high. 29ers have really taken over the cross-country bike scene in the last couple years. However, for bikes that are 6 inches of travel and higher, designed for rougher terrain, I don't think you're going to see 26ers go anywhere. The Giant Rain Zero is a really good example of a 26er that is designed for fun. It's a bike that can be ridden all day. You're not lagging on the climbs, having a blast on the descents, and it's a bike that really can be a one bike if you're not looking for a full-bred cross-country racer or a full-bred downhill. Giant really, again, has done a good job piecing this bike together with top-of-the-line components. 4Gs is a pretty good chunk of change to drop on a bicycle. However, if you look at each component, the Talus fork, the Fox shock in the back, the full XT, the dropper seat post, the Maxxis tires, it would be really hard to piece together a bike that's this quality for that amount of money. So 2 thumbs up for me on the Giant Rain Zero. And let me close this video out by showing some of the scenes of the riding that I've been doing up here in the North Georgia mountains for the last couple days. Thanks for watching.